Some extremely positive news for Black Ops 6 Zombies just dropped. I was literally in the middle of editing a video for my Plants vs. Zombies channel, and this stuff just came out of nowhere. So if you're unfamiliar, Call of Duty have been doing this podcast in the last few months. This is episode 3, and they have addressed a lot. They've really gone and fixed the main issues we have, especially with Liberty Falls, aka Liberty Balls, you know, Mr. Ruffle Waffles, thank you for that meme. But I'm going to just quickly play some of this for you guys.
We're getting a lot of zombies love, especially after the last episode. Has the zombies team made any changes to Liberty Falls since we first saw it at COD Next?
Big question.
Yes. Short answer, yes.
Next question.
Instant, yeah. So they have looked at Liberty Falls and they're changing it.
The Liberty Falls that everyone saw at Call of Duty Next was work in progress, right? That map was still months away at the time from...
Which I quite literally called, by the way. The Liberty Falls that we saw at COD Next was just a complete prototype. Nothing was enabled. It was clearly like they worked on that map way after Terminus. No Easter eggs were enabled, no augments.
The Zombies team has continued to iterate on Liberty Falls since then.
And I think that's exactly why we shouldn't lose faith in Treyarch, because I've been seeing so much negativity surrounding Black Ops 6 because of certain like creators or just people in the general community being overly negative for no reason. I've been screaming this for months, man. Terminus is the main like hardcore map that adheres to the old fans. That's not to say that Liberty Falls doesn't do that as well. It's supposed to be the smaller, more survival experience, but wouldn't it make more sense for them to work on the map that takes longer and has more content, and then do the Liberty Falls XP grinding, you know, secondary map afterwards?
And the visual tone and sort of the look and feel are now a bit moodier.
Cool.
Which is way better. So basically, they've completely changed the aura of Liberty Falls now. Hasn't been any visual teasers just yet, but the fact Treyarch have been working on this since COD Next, which was a good few months ago. I mean, that's plenty of time for them to divert all focus onto just making the map look more appealing.
There are some atmospheric elements that people did not see at Next, because at the time, we had the main quest and the Easter eggs disabled.
Which is another absolutely massive point that I was just saying. They're not going to give away every single ounce of information or completely ruin the experience for launch day months in advance. They're obviously going to limit it. I think the best way to describe it is the fear of a Black Ops 4 2.0. Now, I know some people love Black Ops 4. For the most part, it was a pretty disappointing game just for what it did to the community. And I think the toxicity and the negativity has been at an all-time high ever since Black Ops 4. And I'm not saying I blame anyone in particular for that, because the entire year that game came out was just a hot mess. But people are so terrified of having a repeat of that they're basically just shunning Black Ops 6 Zombies off immediately, months before the game is even out, because it's that fear of the unknown or fear of returning to that one formula that just did terrible. I don't know, man. I've been saying it. The 4-year development that Treyarch have spent on this game, even if it's not 4 years, but 3 years, the amount of time they spent on Terminus, and then the fact we're getting DLC 1 before the next year. So in sometime in December, we're getting another round-based map. Oh, and speaking of round-based, there's something really important in here as well.
Liberty Falls is intended to be sort of a smaller, more casual, so you can just jump right in, compared to Terminus, which is one of the biggest round-based zombies maps that Treyarch has ever made.
Which is another massive thing. I mean, Terminus already holds the record for, in theory, the biggest zombies map ever released across both Treyarch and non-Treyarch, not including anything like Outbreak on Cold War or, you know, the more Warzone-y type bigger experiences.
Lots to do there, lots to do in both maps, but
emphasis on lots to do in both maps as well. There's a lot of content that's going to be in Black Ops 6, and that's why I'm so excited for this game, because I'm going to be covering a lot of it, if not all of it. I mean, this is the first year where I actually think I'm going to play the campaign, the multiplayer, and the zombies. I haven't done that since, God, I want to say Infinite Warfare. So a good 8 years.
Terminus speaks to the more hardcore players and fans of zombies, and so at launch with both maps, there's really something for everyone. A few of the HUD elements in zombies are also getting touched up, which we'll be able to share a little bit more about as we get closer to launch.
So in the very near future, they're going to be showing us what they've done to the HUD, but people were complaining the fact that the zombies HUD, it didn't look like zombies, heavily complaining it looked too much like Warzone. So they have really gone through and added the finishing touches, because if you think about it from a developer's point of view, what's the thing you're going to focus on first? You're obviously going to start with the gameplay and setting the foundation for the game to be built upon. You aren't going to immediately, add a bunch of saturation and stuff. It's kind of like how making a YouTube thumbnail is a pretty interesting example, because adding the saturation and just generally boosting the colors and making the thumbnail pop a bit more is the final step of the process, other than literally rendering it out, obviously, which rendering would be the equivalent of them releasing Black Ops 6. So yeah, they're really working on everything we've critiqued.
Is the entire focus of the team to develop round-based experiences for this game? As in only RBZ?
Yes, Kevin Drew mentioned this at Call of Duty Next. The team is entirely focused on developing round-based zombies content for Black Ops 6.
Which again is absolutely massive news. And it just goes to show how some of the extremely vocal negative people just take what they hear and see at face value and immediately run with it and make so many assumptions. Because they are heavily focused on just making round-based. There's not going to be any kind of open world zombies this year. We already had that with MWZ, which despite what the hardcore fans say, I think most modern zombies players or people who just enjoy that kind of zombies anyway think the MWZ was a success, and in its own right, I'd agree. It wasn't for me personally, but I'm not going to shrug it off and say I completely hate the mode. It's just too different to what I am used to, and I just prefer round-based stuff because it's faster, quicker to get into, fits my gameplay style. And I think that's also a very important point. The fact that you can be any kind of zombies player, or just gamer in general. If there's something you enjoy, just do that, instead of focusing only on the negatives. Like, I could sit here for ages and talk about things that I don't like in MWZ, but I'm not going to do that, and I haven't made a video doing that because I'm all about spreading positivity. That's been my goal since day one. It's why I love doing YouTube so much, honestly. Being able to share the passion that I have for something that I do genuinely adore. I mean, I've played zombies for the last 12 plus years. Sure, this channel may be fairly new, but I have been around for a hot minute. I've seen the ups and downs. I've seen, what some people would consider the golden age of zombies with Black Ops 3 and Zombies Chronicles, and subsequently the downfall, in quotation marks, with the new modern age of Black Ops 4, Cold War, and obviously the whole Vanguard situation.
We can also confirm that Zombies players can expect more support for in-game events compared to previous Black Ops games, so stay tuned.
I'm really excited for this part because if you remember back to Cold War Zombies, we actually had a lot of in-game events. This game's releasing just before Halloween, so it'd be really cool if they bring back the Haunting event they did for Cold War. I think that's what it was called. The one with the Halloween, pumpkins. And then they had the Christmas event for Cold War. Different game modes like Onslaught, which was amazing, but took a whole year to come out. So if Onslaught is returning, which they haven't confirmed yet, I just really hope that it's going to be in the game from day one on all platforms. I mean, there's no PlayStation exclusivity anymore, so there's no reason why they can't. And even if it's not at launch, I have a feeling they might just add Onslaught later in the game's life cycle, like maybe in Season 2 or something, because it makes so much sense. It's such a replayable and guaranteed successful system.
Will Kevin Sherwood's Easter egg songs be returning in Zombies?
So when you think of the aura or aesthetic and general vibe that COD Zombies gives off, I think one of the main aspects is the Easter egg songs, because when you go back to basically any map before Black Ops 4, you immediately pinpoint a map to a song. Like if I think of Kino de Toten, I think of 115. I think of The Giant, I think of the Beauty of Annihilation, Doris, Beauty of Annihilation as well. So Kevin Sherwood is actually confirmed to be coming back.
Yes, Kevin Sherwood is back, and he is writing some incredible, amazing original songs for Zombies, and players will be able to discover 2 of them at launch. So again, 1 for each.
So we're getting an Easter egg song for both Terminus and Liberty Falls, which basically guarantees that we'll be getting one for every single subsequent map after. So the one we're getting in Season 1 in December, and then the next 3, assuming there's going to be 3 more maps after that, which is just humongous. It's humongous news, because I know Cold War, and I think did Vanguard have Easter egg songs as well? MWZ might have too, I don't quite remember, but they haven't been as iconic and memorable since, I want to say, Black Ops 4. Which even then, for me, because I barely played the game, when it was out because of how bad the launch was. It put me off, and I was like, yep, I'm going to play League of Legends, which I'm glad I've quit since, but that's another tangent anyway. I barely recall any of the BO4 songs, but I think most people would agree that that was the last time that they were extremely prevalent and memorable. Like, dude, I have so many of the Black Ops 3 songs just stuck in my head. Dead Ended, Dead Flowers, like, it was pretty much back to back, just bangers for the entire DLC cycle. And it's all these features piling on top of each other, solidifying the experience that's going to make Black Ops 6 Zombies feel way more like, honestly, Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 2 and the older games that actually were built to encompass this whole experience that you have. Because with what we were given, being shown the Liberty Falls gameplay, I don't exactly blame people for overreacting and just assuming that the game's going to suck. Because, to be honest, Activision did a terrible job of marketing. I mean, it's been about a whole month since we've had any information about zombies in particular. I think anything, all 3 modes, it's been about a month. So only in the last few days that we've actually heard some new stuff. And I'm so glad they did. Like, they uploaded this on, what was it? October 10th, yeah. Pretty much 2.5 weeks before Black Ops 6 is going to be coming out, because they have to shut down the negativity. It's getting out of hand. You know, some people are just going off the rails with the most obscene takes I've ever seen from a gaming community. But honestly, the zombies gameplay we're going to be receiving this year is looking incredibly promising. Something I want to touch on more is augments, which as a system is just going to be very refreshing. We've never really seen anything like this in zombies before. It pretty much gives you a way to customize every ability or perk or whatever in the game in a much better way than comparatively the upgrade system worked in Cold War, for example, because this is sort of, it's more replayable, and I like the upgrade system in Cold War, don't get me wrong, like with the Ethereum crystals, but eventually they became useless because you would have everything unlocked and then that's it for the rest of your time playing. Whereas here, you actually get to choose based on whatever you want for that game. It's almost bringing a creator class type setup into zombies without it being fully on loadouts, which again, that's a whole nother can of worms that people are absolutely terrified at, saying that it completely ruins the zombies experience. And a counterpoint I'd actually like to bring up is the fact that Black Ops 3 was actually supposed to have loadouts, or at least Treyarch were experimenting with it. Now, this picture obviously looks very, very scuffed, but this is what it's like when you have early gameplay of something. You know, it's not going to be polished. This doesn't look anything like the Black Ops 3 menu. It looks more like the World at War one. The gobblegums look absolutely terrible. In fact, they're not even gobblegums. I think they're actually the alternate ammo types, which were originally going to be sort of blended into a loadout system. And you can see they're all called completely different things, like Turned was originally called Brainiac. But that's the thing. Would you say that Black Ops 3 is not zombies? Sure, it didn't have the loadouts, but if the loadouts were in BO3, it would not have taken away from everything else that that game had to offer and what it succeeded in. It would have been a much more positively looked upon feature of the game, and people would be begging for it to come back. So it's all just down to perspective at the end of the day. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for the podcast. That's all they've said, really. They're excited to look forward to season 1, and they're going to talk more about what that entails for zombies and COD in general. But honestly, I just want to say a massive thank you to Treyarch for actually, you know, stepping up and fixing the main criticisms that we had. And I think this is extremely important because it shows that the devs actually care. They are being vocal. They are listening to the community, which they have been doing for the entire, like, last year or two, since Cold War, honestly, which is why I really didn't understand all the hate and the controversy. Because yes, Liberty Falls looked pretty bare bones, but what were you expecting them to show at COD next? I mean, we already saw gameplay of Terminus, which was just a few weeks before that, and everyone was so excited. Everyone was like, oh my god, this looks so good. Zombies is back. And then, you know, just like that, the assumptions go wild and everyone just loses their brains. So yeah, I just wanted to make this quick video to let you guys know that Black Ops 6 Zombies looks really good, and I am excited for it. And you definitely should be too, especially after hearing this news. Yeah, if you've enjoyed, please leave a like, subscribe if you're new, because I will be doing a lot of Black Ops 6 Zombies content. I'm going to be playing it as soon as it becomes available. Probably daily uploads for the first week. And yeah, I will see you in the next video.